Welcome back, everybody. So we have the West All-Stars video coming up now. So I guess to cover up some of the All-Stars that were selected, we have Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, SGA, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Jaren Jackson Jr., Alperen Sengun, Victor Wembanyama, and Jalen Williams. So just like the last video, we're just going to be looking into the selections that I guess the NBA made and any changes that I would make. So we have the Thunder with 2, Shea and Jalen Williams, Grizzlies with 1, Nuggets with 1, Rockets with 1, Lakers who did have 2, but with the AD trade, now they just have 1, Clippers with 1, Timberwolves also have 1 as well. And then the Mavericks now have 1 because AD. Kings didn't get any yet again. Warriors 1, Suns 1, Spurs 1. So it is pretty evenly separated throughout the whole division. But I just think that there should be some adjustments. Just kind of I don't know, they try to make it very fair. Every team gets 1 just so that fans can all support somebody, but I don't know, there are definitely some players that are better than others. So here we have Nikola Jokic, averaging 30, 12.5, and 10. He's putting up MVP numbers, so there's not really much to say here. Deserves his All-Star. Cutting over to Kevin Durant, 27, 6, and 4. He's been an All-Star for a decade now, over that. Deserves his selection. He's healthy-ish this year, so that's always good to see from Kevin Durant. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, another MVP caliber player, 32.5, 5, and 6. He's leading his team to the best record. We're tied for it. LeBron, 24, 7.5, and 9. Still an All-Star. Another video going to be debating if he's still All-NBA or not. But Victor Wembanyama, 24, 11, and 4. He's on the rise. A lot of people said he's a top 5 player, soon to be MVP caliber player. Still needs a little bit more, I think, but yeah, definitely deserves the All-Star. Anthony Edwards, 27.5, 6, and 4.5. Again, another young player who's on the rise. Could be an MVP caliber player with slightly better numbers. I know he's been having to carry a lot this year, but deserves the All-Star. Alperen Sengun, first-time All-Star here, 19, 10.5, and 5. I was surprised that Jalen Green, a lot of people were saying that he should have been an All-Star, but he's been spotty as usual. But yeah, Sengun deserves it. James Harden, I was saying even before the season starts that he deserves an All-Star. 21.5, 6, and 8.5. He's been averaging a lot more assists later in his career, so it's definitely helping him out, carrying the Clippers. He's the system, so someone's got to do it, and he definitely deserves it this year with no Kawhi and just still being able to keep them slightly competitive. Stephen Curry, 23.5, 4.5, and 6. He did have much lower numbers earlier in the year, just because, his team was 12 deep and they were just winning a lot of games. I think that they were 12-3 to start the season. Jaren Jackson Jr., 23, 6, and 2. I think he missed Ja for a lot of the season, and so his numbers are up a little bit, I think. About the same as last year, but yeah, the main thing is his defense that is helping him out to get that other All-Star selection. But yeah, so I don't know, arguably deserves it. I know a lot of people said that, but Jalen Williams, 21, 5.5, and 5. So yeah, he's the debatably second best player on the Thunder, and they're the best seed. So that's why they have those 2 All-Stars. And then Kyrie Irving, who is replacing Anthony Davis, is at 24.5, and then 4.5, 4.5, or 5 and 5. Yeah, I think he deserves it more than a few players on the list. So I'm happy to see that he got that selection. The Mavs didn't have like any players since Luka didn't get an All-Star, but then now since Anthony Davis is injured, he will be taking that spot. So now here's the players that I think that, might deserve it more. Then I kind of just like put it all in like the list. So first is Sabonis, 20 and a half, 14 and a half, and 6. I think him and Fox both got gypped last year. Neither of them got an All-Star. And it's kind of like the same thing this year. They're great players, but just playing for a team that doesn't really work too well together. Whether that's just because of like the lack of defense or I don't know. But yeah, so I guess Sabonis is the hub for that, and averaging almost 15 assists, so he definitely deserves this All-Star selection. Other than that, I would say like, since it goes in order, the first 3 here would be replacing like the last 3 that were selected, and then at the end I just have just some like honorable mentions. De'Aaron Fox now on the Spurs, 24 and a half, 5 and 6. Like we said, gypped last year, did deserve it last year arguably, and then I think he deserved it this year as well. So hopefully now that he's playing with Wembanyama and on a new team, that he'll get one next year, especially if they start winning games. I could definitely see that happening. He will be that like second best player, and yeah, so best of luck to him. But yeah, I do think that I would be giving him an All-Star over some other players on the list, and then even if just adding, like we did last time, the 3 extra players, I think he would deserve that. Devin Booker, his numbers have gone up. Before, I believe he was averaging like 24, 4, and 6.5. So his scoring has gone up a little bit. I know that he was suffering a little bit in the beginning of the year, and that might have like prevented him from being an All-Star, but I think he definitely deserved it this year as well. Suns haven't been great. They started off good, but fell off a little bit. We already went over Steph Curry, so he would be the first person that I think I would be removing. Well, actually, probably not, because I did have, Kyrie here. So I think if we were to remove 3, it would probably be Kyrie, Jalen Williams, and Jaren Jackson Jr., and have Sabonis, Fox, and Booker. But if we're just adding 3, like we did last time, I would just add Sabonis, Fox, and Booker. Kyrie's been doing good, carrying the Mavs a little bit, although I think that they're around like this 8th seed right now. This is at like after the first set of games for the All-Star, like the first set of All-Star games that I'm making this. But yeah, so Jalen Williams, I think he does deserve it as well. He has been playing great. I know that in the other video for the East, the Cavs had 3 selections. Thunder only have 2, and they have like the same record. And I think he is playing better than both Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, and maybe even Donovan Mitchell too. So yeah, I think he does deserve it. Jaren Jackson, Ja's been out, so I mean they kind of had to give it to somebody, especially when they're the 2nd seed right now. So I don't know. Like his stats aren't the best, but I would give it to him as well, but not over the first players that I listed. But Julius Randle having kind of a down year on the Timberwolves. I mean, rebounds and points are both down. Hasn't been shooting the best, I don't believe. But other than that, I would put him as like an honorable mention. Same thing with Zubac. He's having a great year. 15, 12.5, and 2.5. Definitely helps by having like James Harden on your team, being able to set him up. I think early in the season he was averaging around 20 points per game, so has dipped down a little bit, but still having a great year. And then Zach LaVine, I just kind of added him on here because he was able to like maybe beat out some people in the East for an All-Star selection. The West, I don't really know, because his numbers are around the same as Jalen Williams. So maybe you could have him above Jaren, maybe not, just because Jaren's defense is better. But yeah, I just threw him here. Some other honorable mentions were just CJ McCollum and DeMar DeRozan. They were close, but both were like worse than Zach LaVine, and then obviously maybe worse than Randall and Zubac. Those 2 are, I could take either of them, but obviously they aren't better than anybody else on this list, so I'm just kind of shouting them out. But yeah, so I guess that's how my list would go. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.